Ibrahim Traoré is one of the youngest and most intriguing leaders in Africa today. Born in 1988 in Burkina Faso, he grew up in a country that has faced decades of political instability and security challenges. From an early age, Traoré showed a deep interest in military affairs and leadership. He joined the army as a young man and quickly distinguished himself for his discipline, strategic thinking, and dedication to his country. Throughout his military career, Traoré served in multiple key positions, gaining experience in both administrative and operational roles. His rise within the military ranks was marked by his ability to lead effectively, even under difficult circumstances. He became known among his peers as someone who could make tough decisions and maintain calm in tense situations. His reputation for decisiveness would later play a pivotal role in his path to national leadership. In January 2022, Burkina Faso experienced yet another political upheaval when a military coup overthrew the existing government. Ibrahim Traoré, then a mid-ranking officer, emerged as a central figure in the coup. His leadership and organizational skills were widely recognized during this period, and he quickly became the public face of the new military administration. At just 34 years old, Traoré became one of the youngest leaders to take power in West Africa, a fact that drew international attention. Traoré's rise to power is significant not only because of his age, but also because of the challenges he inherited. Burkina Faso faces severe security threats from extremist groups operating in the Sahel region. The country has struggled with terrorism, social unrest, and economic instability. Traoré has positioned himself as a leader willing to take bold steps to stabilize the nation and protect its citizens. He has emphasized the importance of discipline within the military and has sought to reform security strategies to counter the growing threats. Despite the challenges, Traoré has also focused on governance and public engagement. He frequently addresses the nation, appealing to citizens for unity and support. His speeches often highlight themes of national pride, resilience, and the need for collective action against corruption and mismanagement. This approach has resonated with a segment of the population, especially the youth, who see in him a symbol of change and a break from traditional political leadership. Internationally, Traoré's leadership has drawn both interest and scrutiny. Regional organizations and foreign governments have watched closely to see how he will manage the balance between security and democratic governance. His policies and decisions could have far-reaching implications, not only for Burkina Faso, but for the stability of the wider Sahel region. Traoré has expressed a desire to strengthen ties with neighboring countries while asserting the sovereignty and independence of Burkina Faso. Critics argue that Traoré's path to power through a coup sets a concerning precedent. They caution that military interventions in politics can undermine long-term stability and democratic development. However, supporters counter that in the current context, decisive action was necessary to protect the country from internal collapse and external threats. Traoré himself has acknowledged the delicate nature of his position, emphasizing the importance of responsible leadership and a commitment to the well-being of all citizens. Traoré's leadership style is marked by a combination of pragmatism and charisma. He is known for being approachable to his soldiers and for encouraging open communication within the military hierarchy. At the same time, he maintains strict discipline and expects high performance from those under his command. This dual approach has helped him consolidate support among the armed forces while projecting an image of strength and competence to the public. Looking forward, Ibrahim Traoré faces multiple challenges that will define his tenure as a leader. Security remains the most urgent issue, with extremist groups continuing to operate across the Sahel. Economic development is another pressing concern, as Burkina Faso struggles with poverty, unemployment, and limited infrastructure. Traoré will need to implement policies that address these issues while maintaining public trust and international credibility. Education and youth empowerment are areas where Traoré has shown interest. He recognizes that the future of Burkina Faso depends on the next generation, and has called for programs that provide opportunities for young people to contribute to the country's development. By investing in education and skills training, he hopes to reduce the appeal of extremist groups and create a more resilient society. Traoré's story is also a reflection of broader trends in African politics. Young leaders are increasingly emerging in countries where older political structures have struggled to deliver results. Traoré represents a new generation that is willing to challenge the status quo and experiment with different approaches to governance. His leadership is being closely observed as a potential model or warning for other nations in the region. In conclusion, Ibrahim Traoré's journey from a young military officer to the leader of Burkina Faso is a remarkable story of ambition, strategy, and resilience. He has stepped into a complex and dangerous environment and is navigating the challenges with a mix of decisiveness and vision. While his leadership is not without controversy, there is no doubt that Traoré is a central figure in shaping the future of Burkina Faso. How he manages security, governance, and development in the coming years will determine whether he becomes a transformative leader or faces the pitfalls that have challenged many before him. Ibrahim Traoré remains a figure of curiosity and significance. His actions, decisions, and policies will continue to influence not only the course of Burkina Faso, but also the stability and progress of the wider West African region. For anyone interested in African politics, leadership, and the dynamics of young leaders in complex environments, Traoré's story is one worth following closely. But to truly understand the significance of Ibrahim Traoré, one must look beyond the borders of Burkina Faso and examine how his leadership reflects a wider struggle across Africa. The continent, rich in natural resources and cultural heritage, has long been described as paradoxically wealthy and poor at the same time. Wealthy because it holds immense reserves of gold, oil, uranium, and fertile land. Poor because the benefits of this wealth have often been extracted by outsiders, leaving local populations in poverty. Leaders like Traoré are challenging this very structure, demanding that Africans take control of their resources and destiny. In West Africa, a new movement of resistance is forming. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have each witnessed military-led changes of power in recent years, but unlike in the past, these leaders are not presenting themselves as puppets of foreign influence. Instead, they speak of unity, sovereignty, and independence. Traoré has become a central figure in this emerging coalition. He is not only building alliances with his neighbors, but also encouraging the idea of a Pan-African awakening, where nations work together instead of being divided. This new posture is particularly significant when viewed against the backdrop of Africa's colonial history. For decades, France maintained deep economic and military influence over its former colonies, including Burkina Faso. French companies dominated trade, and French troops operated freely on African soil. Traoré has been one of the most vocal critics of this arrangement. His decision to demand the departure of foreign forces was both symbolic and strategic. Symbolic, because it signaled to his people that their land belongs to them alone. Strategic, because it forced Burkina Faso to strengthen its own defense and rely less on outside intervention. Critics argue that such decisions may isolate the country, leaving it vulnerable. Supporters counter that true independence can never be achieved while relying on others for security. This debate is not new in Africa, but what makes it powerful today is that it is being led by young voices, representing a new generation that refuses to inherit dependency. Traoré's leadership is thus more than political, it is generational. Beyond geopolitics, his rise raises questions about the nature of leadership itself. How can someone so young inspire such confidence in a nation where experience is often equated with authority? The answer lies in his ability to speak the language of the people. He does not present himself as untouchable or distant. Instead, he emphasizes humility, simplicity, and service. This has allowed him to connect with ordinary citizens who see him as one of their own, not as part of an elite ruling class. Still, challenges remain immense. Burkina Faso faces economic hardship, widespread poverty, and an ongoing battle against extremist violence. Traoré's government must deliver results in these areas if it wishes to maintain public trust. History is filled with leaders who began with great popularity only to lose it when promises turned into disappointments. The burden on Traoré is heavy, but it is also what gives his story such global attention. Internationally, his presence is reshaping how the world views Africa. For years, narratives about the continent were dominated by themes of crisis and dependency. Now, figures like Traoré are rewriting that narrative with one of defiance, pride, and determination. Whether in Western capitals or African villages, the question is increasingly being asked: is this the beginning of a new era where Africa finally asserts itself on the world stage? As we reflect on his journey so far, it is important to remember that Ibrahim Traoré is still at the beginning of his leadership. At just 34, he has already taken decisions that most leaders twice his age would hesitate to make. His story is unfolding in real time, and the world is watching closely. He may inspire other young Africans to step forward, to believe that leadership is not reserved for a distant elite, but is the responsibility of every generation. In the end, Traoré's legacy will depend not only on his words, but on the tangible changes he brings to his people. Will Burkina Faso become stronger, more united, and more independent under his rule? Or will the forces of division, poverty, and external pressure prove too powerful to overcome? These questions remain unanswered. Yet, even in this uncertainty, one fact is undeniable: Ibrahim Traoré has already changed the conversation. He has reminded Africa, and the world, that courage and conviction can emerge from the most unexpected places. And as his nation moves forward under his watch, the eyes of millions remain fixed on Burkina Faso, not out of curiosity alone, but out of hope. Hope that perhaps this time, Africa's story will be written by Africans themselves.